When people think about mindful eating and what it is and what it means, a lot of times they think that it's just slowing down while you're chewing, lighting some candles, turning on some music, being more present while you're eating. And while yes, that is part of it, and that is a beautiful practice that I absolutely recommend, it is so much bigger and so much deeper than that. And it's important to realize that it can be pretty easy and straightforward to do that, to slow down and be present when you're in a non-stressful, non-emotional situation, like you're just having a calm dinner at home. But where mindful eating practices are their most valuable and most powerful and most transformative is in those moments that are not peaceful, where we're feeling like the world is crumbling, when it feels like everything is going wrong and just food is taking over and we feel completely powerless. That's where the power is. So a perfect example of this is when I start working with a new client, I have them start keeping a journal. And this journal is not for them to log what they're eating. It's for them to start logging what they feel and what they think, what's going on physically in their body, where they are, what kind of situation they're in, who they're with, when, before, during, and after eating. And when they start this journal, 9 times out of 10, they start so strong. They're doing it beautifully. They're on top of it. They're on track. They're logging everything. But then as kind of the week goes on, and as life happens and some stress comes up and they have a bad day at work or something like that, I'll start seeing things that just say like binge or overate, or they won't even put an entry in. And they absolutely don't put something like what they were thinking or what they were feeling down. And the reason for that is because when that happens, their mindset just goes straight to, I'm a failure, this is a train wreck, this has all gone wrong, I don't even want somebody to know that this happened, so I'm not even going to log it, I'm not even going to record it, I'm just going to kind of put it behind me, sweep it under the rug, and I'll start my journal again tomorrow when I'm back in control. And this cycle just keeps going around and around and around. And actually that cycle might sound familiar because that is a very similar cycle that we get into when we diet. You start strong. You're on top of your food plan for the first couple of days, the first week or so. But then as life happens, as stresses come up, and then you start feeling like you're going off plan, or you feel like you fell off the wagon, or you ate something that you shouldn't have. And then these feelings of guilt and saying, I'm a failure, this is all going wrong, start to come up. And our instinct is kind of to gloss over it, to not really look at it, to not acknowledge it, and just sweep it under the rug and say, I'll start my diet again tomorrow. The problem with that is that you can't change something that you don't look at. And your relationship with food cannot and will not ever change if you gloss over and don't look at the times when it all goes wrong, and when you start feeling completely out of control and powerless to food. Because it is in those moments that all the valuable information is. That is where you're going to discover your patterns and your habits and your belief systems and your feelings and your emotional and psychological triggers and behaviors around food. That's where all of that lies. And that's where transformation can happen, when we start really looking at that and figuring out what's going on for you in those moments that just send you off and make you feel like you're completely losing control and completely powerless. You have to look into those uncomfortable places if you want to make those long-term, lifelong changes and transformations. And jumping from diet to diet to diet and just continuing to gloss over, it's never going to change. Trust me, I've tried it. It does not work. And because everything we need to know is in those moments. And if we keep glossing over it and we don't want to look at it just because it's uncomfortable or just because it's scary, and yes, it can absolutely be scary, but the problem is if we don't look at it and we don't learn from it and we don't grow from it and we don't take the information that those moments are giving us, it will keep coming up over and over and over again. And if we continue with the thought process and the desire to just gloss it over and to put it behind us, sweep it under the rug, we'll start again tomorrow. If we keep with that mindset, then every time it comes up, we're just going to want to keep numbing and keep not paying attention. And for those of us that use food and we struggle with food as a coping mechanism, then every time those feeling comes up, we're going to fall into a pattern of looking to food in order to not deal with it and to not look at it. So while doing those slowing down, chewing slower, putting on some music and lighting candles, well, that is wonderful. Again, that's not the whole picture. And mindful eating is so powerful in those moments that aren't comfortable and that aren't easy. And a key to this, to looking at this and growing from this, is being able to look at what's going on for you in those moments and then being able to accept it without judgment, and not beating yourself up about it and not tearing yourself apart just because of what you're experiencing, of what's going on for you in your head and your heart at any given moment. To just accept that and to treat yourself with love and compassion and empathy, and then to turn to those moments and turn to those feelings and go, okay, what can I learn from this? What can I pull from this? What information is this moment giving me about myself and my habits and my belief systems? And how can I change this? And how can I adjust this? How can I meet my true needs so that I'm not turning to food in these moments? Now, a really good example of this that I work on a lot with my clients is we work on food transitions, and we really look at food transitions, and that is like the start or the end of a meal. And so it's when you're eating and your food is starting to get low, you're getting to the end of your plate, or maybe you're halfway through your plate but you start noticing you're full, things like that. And it's starting to look at what's going on for you in those moments when you're coming to the beginning or an end of a meal. What emotions are coming up for you? Where is your mind going? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling almost a little bit panicky or scared? Is there feelings of sadness or tension coming up? Do you get up and go get seconds even though you're not hungry? Do you skip up and skip to dessert and start eating dessert? Do you maybe pull out your phone and start flipping through social media, or do you turn on the TV as a distraction? So it's really starting to pay attention to your emotions and your behaviors around certain key, possibly triggering points when it comes to food. So we look at this of like parties, social situations, lunch with a friend, when you come home, like eating by yourself, all of those things. We start looking at those and what is going on for you emotionally, psychologically, and physically in your body around those points. And the power of mindful eating is that when you start looking at this and when you stop judging yourself and you cut out all that negative self-talk and you just accept what's going on for you, and you almost, and I don't want this to sound bizarre and it might sound a little weird and counterintuitive, but those triggers and that darkness, that dark place that you don't want to look, it almost becomes a friend because you've talked to it. You know it. You've kind of got this dialogue going. You know what's going on with it. You know where it's coming from, and you know what's going on with it. And the beauty of that is that once you're not scared of it anymore, and once you've looked at it and you kind of know what's going on with it, you can see it coming a mile away. Okay? Because you know it. You know its patterns. You know when it comes up. You know how it gets triggered. You know how it operates. You've got that thing nailed down. And so then you can come into any situation and go like, oh, this is a situation that is primed for that thing to happen. And you can see it coming before it even gets to you. Whereas before, it would just kind of like hit you like a Mack truck, and all of a sudden you're out of control and you don't know how to regain that control. But when you start kind of befriending those patterns and those triggers, and you become familiar with them, and you stop judging them and stop hating them and trying to shove them down, and you actually learn from them, you can see them coming a mile away, and then you can navigate them completely. You can make sure that you don't even end up in the situation where those might come up, because you know yourself and you know how it operates, and so you can completely avoid it. Now, I want to share something that one of my clients wrote, and she shared with me today. This is something that came up for her while she was journaling, and she shared it with me, and I asked her, I was like, oh my God, can I please share that with everybody? And she said yes. So I want to read you what she wrote, and this perfectly ties into the power of mindful eating. So she wrote, she said, I'm realizing that I jumped from diet to diet in search of a solution that would finally end my pain, that would be that final band-aid that fixed everything. But I'm now realizing that there is no and will never be a diet that can heal my heart, give my mind peace, and make me feel worthy. I'm realizing that the only way to change my eating is to look at all the reasons why I was eating in the first place and what I was trying to numb with food. I think that the most valuable and profound transformations happen in the darkness, when we shine a light into those places that we would rather skip over, numb, and not look at. And so that perfectly sums up the power of mindful eating. It is learning how to shine a light into those dark places that we have been trying to skip over and numb and not look at for such a long time. But everything that is driving your eating, driving your emotional eating, driving binging, driving any kind of over restriction, deprivation, all of those reasons are in the darkness, and there is no way that you can ever overcome those unless you look at them, and unless you deal with it, and unless you learn from it and stop judging yourself and stop beating yourself up. Remember, one of the things I always say is you cannot hate yourself healthy. You have to be able to look at what's going on for yourself with love and compassion, and then grow from it and learn from it. So my challenge to you is to stop beating yourself up, to stop looking to diets and external things and rules and deprivation in order to fix what those things cannot fix. To stop running from the pain, to stop running from the darkness, and instead pause, slow down, turn around, look at it, see what's going on, learn from yourself, learn from your experiences, your emotions, what is going on in your head, your thoughts, and figure out how you can grow from that. And I guarantee that you will start experiencing transformations and growth that you never experienced on a diet. And to start just loving yourself and accepting yourself for whatever is going on for you in whatever moment, and don't tear yourself down just for having a human experience of emotion. So I'm going to leave you with that, and as always, if you are interested in coaching, or if you have any questions or comments on this video or anything about mindful eating or dieting, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can always comment below. I love talking to you guys, and you can ask your questions, and I will always answer them below because I love you. So have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you guys later.